All right. From by TNT, the authorities force us to sell at 11.90. Traders in Iraq, if the government's abuse continues, we will close the markets. Right. The Federation of Iraqi Commerce condemned on Friday the security measures that Iraqi merchants are exposed to, describing it as arbitrary, forcing them to sell at exchange rate, while the union threatened to close the markets if the government continued to pursue them. Detachments from the National Security conducted actions to monitor prices and detain many merchants and close their stores after the central bank's decision to raise the dollar exchange rate to 1450 dinars. Abdul Razak al-Zahari, head of the Federation of Iraqi Chambers of Commerce, said in a statement received by Shafaq News, quote, "We condemn in the strongest terms the actions and measures taken by the security authorities in all the governance of the Iraq for forcing honest merchants to sell materials and goods at the exchange rate approved by the central bank of 11.90, unquote." Al-Zahari added, quote, "In spite of the central bank's Uncle's number 612440 in 2012-20, which officially decided to adopt an exchange rate of 1470 Iraqi dinars per U.S. dollar purchased from banks and non-banking financial institutions for the ultimate beneficiary. The reference is that this approved price is fixed, final, and unchangeable. These arbitrary, unconstitutional, or legal measures are taking us back to the era of dictatorship and state power that does not respect rights and freedoms, and it is a very dangerous indicator to the extent of the attempt to divert the path of economic reform and merchants' loading of failed policies and failure in the file of food security by those in charge of it." He pointed out that the uncles of the Supreme Judicial Council have wrongly interpreted and applied the law enforcement authorities as it does not mean stopping honest merchants, but rather monitoring prices and preventing speculation and not forcing traders to sell at prices parallel to the previous exchange rate of 11.90, which the central bank left under its uncles above. He explained that the new exchange rate and its negative effects on merchant was accepted reluctantly, although we were surprised by it and it was not gradually preparing for it. He pointed out that the arbitrary interference of these authorities and the measures taken against the merchants invite us to stand as a professional economic organization that takes care of merchants and promotes the economy to provide basic materials to the Iraqi citizen, achieving decent living that the state with its institutions has been unable to provide him. He pointed out that it's not an option for the merchants, for the governments to recall the positions of this honorable sector in facing the corona epidemic and what it has done to mitigate its effects on the honorable citizen. Al-Zahari concluded by saying, "The constitution of these arbitrary measures, in the event of failure to stop them, leads us to decide reluctantly to close markets, shops, and outlets in order to preserve the dignity and prestige of the private commercial sector, which has had an honorable and pioneering role in supporting the state in its crises."